Get ready. Get set. It's time for the basement view. Well, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. It is me, as usual. How's it going? Boy, I gotta tell you, the stuff that goes on, it's like every 5 minutes, something new. Every 5 minutes, something new. Here we are on the basement view. It's Friday, 3/7/2025. Man, March 7th. Man, this month is really getting on by. Jeez. Man, I would not have expected this year to be going so fast. I think one of the reasons it's going fast like this is because we got old brother Trump keeping us on our tippy toes. If this is your first time looking at it, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Let's see if we can kick that algorithm in the butt. Okay. Man, I gotta tell you, we are in one heck of a pickle because this guy Trump, and I'm only going to speak to this for a minute. This guy Trump, hey James, what's happening? This guy Trump got everybody so jacked up, and he seems to think that everybody's going to turn on and off the same way he does. Now he's on and then off and then on and then off with the tariffs. Meanwhile, Canada is on. Okay, they like playing. They're not playing this game. So I'll get more into that later. Hey Vanessa, what's happening? What's going on? Hey, I was actually gonna discuss a subject this evening. I heard a conversation going on and was invited into the conversation. And it went a little something like this. Friends with benefits. Do I think it's okay to have friends with benefits? And, you know, I was the wrong person to ask that question because we gonna get down to the nitty gritty if you ask me that. And I'm assuming, hey Lisa, how you doing? And those of you that's married, you know, this conversation ain't for you. But those single folks out there, this is how the conversation went. So these people were talking about friends with benefits. And we know what friends with benefits are. Most of us have an idea of what friends with benefits is, but most of us, there's something that we don't understand. Hey, Carmen, there's more to it than just what you think. All right. So as the conversation went on, it was, well, the ladies wasn't into friends with benefits. They didn't think it was, you know, something that, you know, they wanted to participate in. Okay, I can get that. All right. Because what traditionally we think of when you hear that term is two people, two consenting people who decide they're not only going to just be friends, you know, they're going to agree to do a little something on the side. Okay? And again, during this conversation, I'm just listening. and it was discussed about, hey, that's usually something men like to do. That's usually something men is into, la da 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 da. Okay. So, I asked the question, well, what about the other kind of friends with benefits? All of a sudden, crickets. Chirp, 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 chirp. What other kind of friends with benefits? Oh, you don't know about the other kind of friends with benefits. Well, see, there is another kind of friends with benefits. And there are a lot of guys find themselves walked into that kind unknowingly. Now, see, that's called when you've been put in the friend zone. And a lot of ladies understand what that is, the friend zone. Okay? See, that's another kind of friends with benefits. But it's not talked about that way. See, when you put in the friend zone, what you end up being is an emotional support for a lady. Okay? And you end up taking all of the day's hard knocks that she had to go through during the day. She gonna get off work, call you up, and lay all that stuff on you. Okay? You taking that emotional support for her. Okay? Now that's a friend with benefits. She benefiting. She wearing you out emotionally. And every now and then, it's also sometimes, hey, I was a little short. Hey, I got to pay my phone bill. Do you think you could give me $60 or $40? Well, $40 ain't nothing. Hell yeah, me and you cool. I give you $40. Yeah, well, that's a friend with benefits. Okay? That's financial benefits and emotional benefits. And after a while, your ass wore out. You've been a boyfriend that just ain't getting none. So when we talk about friends with benefits, ladies, and gentlemen, understand it ain't always the guy benefiting from the being friends with benefits. Sometimes there's a friends with benefits that the lady is benefiting from. Okay. And the guy didn't even get asked if he wanted to be in a friends with benefits relationship. So let's get it straight. It ain't always something the guy always benefit from the friends with benefits. Okay, let's just get that straight right now. Okay, so I said it. There it is. All right. So anyway, now if you got comment, you're more than welcome to comment. Let me know what you think. So, but that was the gist of that conversation, and that was my input. And hey, sorry they asked me, but that's the way it go. If you don't want to hear what I gotta say, don't ask me. Anyway, I tell you what. I want to hear from this Canadian. There's a Canadian that he's out on social media, and he tells some pretty good stories. And I want to share one with you that he tells about Canadians and beavers. Okay? So let's listen to what he has to say about Canadians and beavers.
Beavers are petty little shits. In Russia, a while back, city planners tore down a beaver dam to make way for some construction. The beavers waited till the middle of the night and then cut down every tree in the area and ripped up all the shrubs. Follow a beaver long enough and it'll hide a literal line of shit in your path to prevent you from getting closer. Beavers, like Canadians, some of the most vindictive sons of bitches you will ever meet. Case in point, 30 years ago, Coca-Cola pulled its bottling plant out of Newfoundland. To this day, Reddit is full of tourists saying, yo, what's with all the Pepsi here? More than a decade ago, Heinz up and closed its 100-year-old bottling plant with no notice. 750 workers left in the lurch. The French's company stepped in. To this day, Canadians buy French's, even though it's an American product. Don't believe me? Check the comments. Beavers, like Canadians, are pleasant, but we hold a grudge longer than a Twinkie survives the apocalypse. You might say we put the Riz in resistance. In America, you might do well to check your own history of battles with your northern neighbors. Exhibit A, the day we burned your White House to the ground. Hell, your own national anthem is about that. Bombs bursting in air, those are our bombs. The flag was still there, that's Francis Scott Key, stunned that an American flag still flew after we leveled Baltimore. We know your history better than you do, and that's the point. America has long reveled in the self-appointed title of leader of the free world. I always thought it rather enjoys watching the world catch a cold when it sneezes. And now it's pushing its weight around to apply tariffs to almost every country in the world. And how is the world responding? London, this weekend, European countries meeting with Canada to cut America's trade out of the loop. Mexican tariffs of European imports slashed. EU restrictions dropped, allowing more investment in Mexico. India and the EU without America. Apex nations without America. Trans-Pacific countries without America. And after this whole trade war is over, years from now, when Trump's not even in office, how will the world view America? Not with hatred, not even pity, but with the one thing America fears the most: irrelevance. This year in the Czech Republic, local authorities have been planning a big dam project for 7 years. Some local beavers moved in, built it in 2 days. Tariffs against Canada start tomorrow. Beavers, like Canadians, are petty as fuck. But we finish what we start.
Well, tell me more. Yeah. So we find ourselves in this lurch with just about everybody in the world hating us now. Just about everybody but Putin. And in exchange for that, this is what we get. These are the layoff numbers. Hey, Carmen, that guy was good, wasn't he? As a matter of fact, I'm going to play some more stuff from him as days go by because he has some very enlightening stories. Okay? Just yesterday, yesterday, these are the layoff numbers as of yesterday. Have a look.
Just opened in the United States, and it was brutal, frankly. You can see all yesterday's gains basically wiped out. This is after a new private report on layoffs, recession-level jobs cuts, this report says, and that's on top of the wild uncertainty on tariffs. So let's get right to CNN's Matt Egan for what we're seeing here. Matt.
Yeah, John, look, I think investors are reacting to another flashing yellow light when it comes to this economy, and really the first concrete evidence that we're getting of the impact of all of those Doge-led layoffs. So we're talking about a new report from outplacement firm Challenger, Gray and Christmas, and it found that 172,000 layoffs were announced in February. That is twice as much as what we saw last February. It's the most for any month since July of 2020, which of course was during COVID. It's also, John, the most for any February since the Great Recession back in 2009. When we look at the trend here, you can see that these layoff announcements late last year were hovering around 50,000, 60,000, but there's been this notable spike up to 172,000 in February. Challenger, they've been tracking this monthly figure for 32 years. And there's only been 11 months over that span that had a higher number than this one. And John, all of them were during recessions. Now, I'm not saying that's where we're going right now, but I think it does give some context here. And I think this is telling too, right? Yep. Layoffs by industry. Two things stand out here. Retail, a big spike so far this year in layoff announcements. And we know, John, consumer spending, consumer confidence have taken a hit recently, but the big increase here is government. Look at this, just 151 layoffs were announced at this point last year. Now it's more than 62,000. Challenger said that the number one reason cited for layoffs in February were actions taken by Doge. And listen, we know that they're trying to cut costs, right? They're trying to make the government more efficient. They're trying to get at the federal deficit. But there's a real economic impact. And John, look, there's real people involved too, right? These are moms, dads, millennials with student debt, and their lives have been turned upside down just over the last few weeks by all these layoffs.
You know,
Nah. And Carmen, I'm sorry, but I don't think they gonna get in line. I think they all gonna do us at one time. Now, did you see those layoff numbers? Now we know that the government laid off the 62,000, but did you see that 43,000 from retail? Now, see, that's the telltale right there. Okay? That's the telltale. And then you had transportation in there. Understand something. When you see the retail layoffs, that's because people are not spending money. Okay? Understand. That's because people are not spending the money. And speaking of spending the money, we know didn't today start one of those blackouts like with Amazon? Okay, for 7 days, no spending at Amazon. If y'all was going to buy something at Amazon, don't buy it for this week. All right? We supporting all economic blackouts or boycotts or whatever you want to call them. But understand something, 172,000 layoffs in February. Now that's people that's not going to be spending money. 172,000. Now, there's already tons of unemployed. And by golly, I forgot what the employment numbers were. They came out today. But the employment numbers came out and they were low. They missed the estimates to the low side. So that was bad news. Okay. So the layoffs have begun. You cannot threaten tariffs, start tariffs, take tariffs off, put them back on, take them back off. Maybe we'll put tariffs on somebody over there. Maybe we'll do this over here and expect your economy to continue to be a good economy. It's just not going to happen. You know, you'd have to be crazy to think it is. And maybe the dude's crazy. But the layoffs have begun. That's just February. Can't wait to see what March does. You know, March is probably going to be equal. And that's people also don't have health care. So this is only going to be a terrible situation. And it's getting warmer. Of course, at least if you get thrown out, you can, you know, the weather's getting better, at least. So, has there been any layoff-related things or employment-related things that any of you've heard that I have not heard? Or something you may want to add? I figured now I'd ask that question because that's the key to whatever happens. Hey, what's up, Charles? How you doing? You know, that's the key to whatever happens going forward. If enough people start losing their jobs, you know, it's just, you know, not going to be good. And anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to discuss was the employment situation is just not looking good. I looked at the stock market today, and it was down most of the day until the Fed chairman made a little speech. And he made a little speech that basically said the economy's still strong. Inflation is going in the direction we want it to go in. Everything's okay, hunky-dory. And that gave the big traders a reason to come into the market and start doing a little buying. It didn't shoot up. It was pretty sideways, 100, 200 points from 400 down on the day. And, but the market understands. The market understands that we're in a pickle. So save your money. Again, we're in an economic boycott week. Don't spend any money at Amazon this week. And you know what? The sad part about it is Amazon has made it so convenient to spend your money. You know, Amazon has made it so convenient. It's amazing. You know, you don't have to get out of bed to get what you need sent to you. Boy, I tell you what, some folks, they know how to make some money. So, no Amazon this week. All right? Okay, moving along. I'm not going to dwell on that. I also ran across a situation out in Las Vegas. And I thought, because you all know, I'm always watching housing. Because housing is also a key component of our economy. And I'm always watching what the billionaires are doing. And you all know how I've been showing how the billionaires have been buying up all of the housing. And that is a concern because that's one of the key economic numbers is housing starts. You know, housing starts means how many home builders have contracts to build new homes. And right now, most of the home builders are saying they have some good numbers of contracts on the books. So there hasn't been a bunch of cancellations so far. But in looking in those areas for that information, I came across a situation out in Las Vegas. And I thought you guys might want to hear about it. Check out this guy in Las Vegas, rich guy, and tell me what you think about the situation at the end. Watch this all the way through. It's kind of a long video, but I thought it was an interesting story because it's one of those, you know, it's one of those real, you know, half dozen in one hand, 50 cents in the other. Okay? So watch this story and tell me what you all think.
Well, we've all seen it here in the Las Vegas Valley. Real estate investors sweeping up properties while the average Joe may have less of a chance.
This week, 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy digging right into housing issues. Tonight, she uncovers a tense battle at one West Side property.
I'm so stressed out.
Robert Rice says he used his life savings to buy this studio on the Las Vegas West Side in 2019. But shortly after, a majority owner here at Bonanza Park was pressuring him to sell.
He kept coming to my door.
Rice, for being bullied, is not alone.
It's been pure hell since the day I met this guy.
He said, well, I will kick your ass. And I told him to bring it on. Yeah. And he said that I was an old man is when I told him to bring it on. And so, shoot, I may get beat down, but I'm not going to walk away.
These are the holdouts.
I don't know what to do. That's why I'm glad you're here to maybe give us some light.
They are the few owners left here who refuse to sell their condos.
They're kind of stuck in the past. They're stuck. And now they're a little jealous and a little afraid.
To the man who's trying to convert this to an apartment complex.
Have you ever made a threat to physically harm any residents here?
Absolutely not. That's ridiculous.
Daniel Wright says he and his companies own most of the 132 units here.
What's your plan now?
The plan is to take over the whole complex. Everybody's known that plan here. They've known about me for years. They've known about the plan for years. This is not a secret.
How is that plan going?
Same. I mean, we're just plugging along. I mean, I started with 1 unit. Now we're over 100. We have about 5 or 6 owner-occupieds left.
They are outnumbered and outvoted, so they don't have much of a say about homeowners association dollars. And when a fire tore through one of the buildings here in 2021 and there was an issue with insurance, they were expected to pay hefty assessments. Rice says he paid $9,000.
There is a claim that you did not have that building insured properly when there was a fire. Is that true?
It's partly true. It was insured properly. There was a clause in there that covered a full rebuild cost. The insurance company decided to deny that part of the claim and only paid out about half of that money. So we are in litigation with that insurance company, the former community manager, and the insurance broker over this.
Do you remember ballpark what was in HOA reserves when you started buying properties and what's in there now?
Ballpark, I'd say around 150,000. And because of the fire depleted all those funds, we had to raise a special assessment.
How many units are in that building?
30 units.
How many do you own out of the 30?
Now is different than when it happened. So now we own 29 out of 30. When it happened, it was like 24 out of 30.
So still the majority, and they still had to pay those hefty assessments.
Yeah, it's part of the community property.
Community property, not for long, as Wright works to dissolve the HOA entirely.
Everything was voted on through the HOA. Everything was voted on through the ownership. That's where we're at this point.
The votes through the ownership are mostly you, though.
Yeah. It's good to have a lot of votes.
Is that fair?
How is it not fair? Each unit gets a vote. If owners wanted to buy more units, they could buy more units.
The state doesn't dictate how many votes you get per unit.
Sonia Merriweather is the ombudsman for common interest communities in Nevada. Her office with the real estate division provides guidance and is supposed to be the watchdog for HOAs.
How does the average homeowner who is not a giant investor get protections when they're part of an HOA?
Well, just by ownership of a house, you have the governing documents that give you some protection, but it also gives you some obligations also.
Obligations to know those documents well. If rules aren't in place with the HOA to prevent a majority owner from taking over, like here in Bonanza Park, what Daniel Wright is doing, sweeping the votes and making changes, appears to be in accordance with state law. With 80% of the votes, a common interest community can be terminated.
I guess if you're the little guy who can't afford to buy over 100 units, how do you have a chance?
They chose to live in this community.
I'm surprised you did the interview. I thought you were going to say no.
Oh, I have nothing to hide down here. Some people don't like the big landlord or whatever like that, but I have a business plan. I'm trying to improve myself.
If you treated them fairly, though, why would they say you made threats to physically harm them? Why would they say you're bullying them?
I have no idea. I can see where they might feel pushed around because the overwhelming vote, their vote doesn't count for much in this complex. But that's what an HOA is there for, is to protect. There's certain rules and regulations. And sometimes those are in favor of the little guy. Sometimes they're in favor of the big guy. And if they don't like the rules, it's a free country. They can move somewhere else. They could buy more units. They could band together. They could do a lot of things.
So what they're doing is sharing their story.
We only have one unit, but we're going to speak loud as we can with our one unit.
While Wright says he's continuing to make improvements to a property he believes will eventually be all his. Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
What y'all think of that? Hey, Charles, you say you're going to keep pushing until he gets all of it. And yeah, that's pretty much what he's saying, you know? I don't think they have much of a chance, you know? And he is strong-arming them. And he's, you know, but the problem is he's bought over 130 units in the complex. You know, it's like 5 or 6 of those people left. Seems like to me they would try to negotiate a price to get bought out. Because this is, how long can you live in a complex that the man who runs the complex can literally vote out the HOA agreement because he's got all of the units in the complex. So each unit gets a vote. So he's got all the votes. And if he chooses to vote out the HOA agreement, that's all of your protection gone. Because the only protection they got is what's in the HOA agreement. Say should help the people relocate. Well, you know what? I don't know. You know, we talking about a business because, you know, a business is going to do the bare minimum that a business is obligated to do. So if he was a good guy, and I don't know, I'm going to assume he is the head guy of the company because he did the interview. He didn't say he was a spokesman for the company. I would offer them a fair price for their unit. Now, as far as helping somebody relocate, you know, that's never been a part of buying or selling property. You know, you're not under any obligation to help somebody relocate, you know. But I would offer them fair value for the property, at least. That's probably where the problem is. But these are the last 5 or 6 people there. You know, I'm curious. He had to have bought the other units from the other people. So he must be, you know, offering to buy. I don't understand. You know, when it gets down to 5 or 6 people in a big complex like that, and you're the only people there, imagine, that's got to be not a great living situation. It's only a few of y'all come and talk to each other and just worry, because I would just be sitting there worried all day, every day. I mean, y'all tell me what you think. I would be trying to get the man to buy my unit at the best price I can get. And then I'd be trying to find, something I could buy into elsewhere, that's a sad situation to me. I don't know. What do you think? Man, but that's the state we're in. We got these rich folks, and they want to own everything. Now, he bought this place with the intention to turn it into rental units. And I think that's the intention of all of the billionaires that's buying up all the houses. They intend to make you and me renters. So if you own your own home, stay in it. Stay in it. Yeah, Charles, that's what I would do. I'd sell it to him and, try and get as much as I could and try to get me a spot somewhere else. I want to know how much of it is being stubborn, because, we love to hate the rich guy, The rich guy, yeah, it's jacked up. We love to hate that guy. But the question is, could I do something, to fix my situation? This is a bad situation. That guy's got all the cards. Hey, we know about the cards, right? You got to hold the cards. If you ain't got none of the cards, you don't got the cards. We know you got to have the cards, right? And they don't have the cards. So I'm saying I would sell. I'd try to find me something else, and right now, and I know the problem. When they bought into that complex, the value of that unit was higher. I'll bet the value of that unit is not comparable to other places, because when they assess a place like that, it's based on how many people living in the unit. In the complex. So imagine having your condominium assessed, and it's based on 130 other empty units. You're going to get a pretty bad assessment. Now, if they compare it to other complexes in the area, that's going to help the price, So take what you can get the hell out. Stop dealing with that guy. Because that guy is determined to take over. All right. Well, I thought that was an interesting predicament. And I thought that was something good to share. That gets us off of that other guy for a little bit. But it also shows that the rich people, they're out there trying to take over. Be careful. Keep your eyes open, because the rich people are trying to take this place over. And I'll say it again. If you own your own home, stay in it. Stay in it. Tooth and nail, stay in it. Because it's somebody going to be calling you, sending you postcards, if they ain't already doing it. Sending you postcards, asking you, do you want to sell it? I get them every day. Hey, I'm calling about your property. And it's amazing how many phone numbers they got to call you from. Man, I ain't had so many different phone numbers calling me in my whole life. Say all the time, huh, Carmen? Hey, they trying. They want it all. And they want to control us because, let's face it, in this country, forever, real estate has been the basis for the wealth building in this country. That patch of ground that you own is a base of wealth for you. Okay? And they want it. They want it all. Let's hold on to our shit, y'all. Let's keep our money in our pocket. Okay? Let's keep our money in our pocket. And let's keep our property. Okay? Because they're coming to get it. They like mosquitoes. Just parasites. Trying to land on a host. That's a shame. And I've never, you all probably don't follow this as closely as I do, but I'm looking at it every day. And the energy, there is a energy I've never seen. I've followed this stuff for years. Okay? I've been an investor for years. I've made good money, and but right now, I've never seen a level of greed like I'm seeing. I've never seen a level of activity trying to acquire everything. Don't know this little tidbit. As of right now, Walgreens is being taken over by billionaires and taken private. You know what that means? Okay, your local Walgreens is now not going to be publicly traded. It's going to be privately owned by the billionaires. Okay? You know what they do? I'm going to tell you what they do. Walgreens, you know their footprint. There's a Walgreens on all of the great corners in America, right? There's Walgreens everywhere. And what does Walgreens have a lot of? Real estate. Okay? All right? We know the routine, right? We know the routine. You got 2 phone calls a day? Through your home phone and your cell phone. Hey, man, they coming, man. They coming. They want it. They can taste it. I'm surprised they didn't tell you that on the phone. Hey, man, I can taste your house, man. Come on, man. Let me get that. Hey, man, they want it. They taking Walgreens. What does Walgreens have? A lot of real estate. A lot of real estate. And remember the process. Buy the company, okay? Use another company that you own to buy the real estate. All right? Now, my company A buys Walgreens. My company B buys all the real estate from Walgreens. And company B leases the buildings to company A's business. Now, Walgreens is paying company B a super high lease rate, which is going to drain all of the money out of Walgreens. Okay? And once they sucked all the money, they're going to charge so much rent that Walgreens is going to have to start to borrow money. And it's going to borrow a lot of money. Walgreens over here is going to borrow a ton of money so they can keep paying rent to my company B. Okay? And once Walgreens is in so much debt, well, then, of course, it's going to have to file bankruptcy, right? Of course, it's going to have to file bankruptcy. And during that bankruptcy, they're going to have to retain the top management and pay them exorbitant fees to see the country through the bankruptcy. We've seen this 1,000 times. 1,000 times. We've seen it. They want it all. They want it all. And once Walgreens is out of business, they'll just sell the buildings and all of the fixtures and everything out on the open market. It'll be auctioned off for whatever they can get, and they'll walk away. Thank you very much. Sucking their teeth. That was delicious. Thank you. I'll have another, please. That's the way they do it. Hang on to your house. Do whatever you got to do to hang on to your house. Because they intend to rent to you. And they intend to squeeze you till you pop. Okay? Just thought you would all benefit from this. We will benefit from this. Keep your money in your pocket. Hold on to your house. 3, watch your ass. Okay. So, by the way, hit that thumbs up if you can, and subscribe, and that little bell thing. Hit that bell thing. I think that'll let you know when I'm coming on the air in the future. And by the way, you know what? Of course, that mishap that happened Wednesday, it was me. It was something my ass did. These big fingers, they get in the way sometimes. Me and these fingers. Anyway, I'm going to leave y'all with another thought from our friend. You remember our friend that told us to stay home? Okay? Let's take a little lesson from her right quick.
I'm saying stay off the front lines. I'm saying stay out of the streets. I'm saying don't put yourself out there to be victimized, because you know exactly who them police and riot police are going to target when we're out there. Like I said in the previous episode, have y'all noticed they've been protesting across the country? Look up the 5051 protests that have been happening all over this country. Look them up. No black people out there. And guess what? They've miraculously been violent, barely no violence. Okay. very few people being arrested. Where are the rubber bullets at? Where's the tear gas? Where's the militarized tanks in the street? Nowhere. Where are the random quote random bricks that happen to just be out there that people use to bust up them windows? Where are they? Nowhere. You know why? Because our Negro asses are not out there. And as I said earlier in the episode, you know, white people can treat other white people right. They're not gonna treat us right.
Hey, you heard it here first. So, as those marches start to get heated up because the weather is getting warmer and folks is getting broker and broker, you know, we might want to take a lesson from that young lady. Say, hey, let's hold up. Who was the Canadian man earlier? I'll get back to you on that. I can't remember his name, but I will, if you want, I'll get back to you on that. He's got some great stories. He's got more of them. I'll play some more of them in the days coming. Okay. So, but yeah, let's take a lesson from that young lady as these marches start to heat up. And they will. Because that 50501 is heating up. And between that and the economic blackouts, the economic blackouts are going to work if people abide by them. If enough people, and again, we ain't talking about you and I and us right here, because we're going to support them all. We're going to support every economic blackout we can. We don't care whose blackout it is. We're going to look at the schedule and we're going to abide by it. Every flyer we get, pass it around, keep it and look at it and go by it, because that's going to help us. Okay? We're not worried about whether we hear Target tomorrow announce, hey, y'all killing us with the blackouts. Target ain't going to say it. They're going to try their best to keep it hush-hush. Okay? We know the numbers was down because they had to announce the revenue numbers, you know? And as a matter of fact, at the end of this month, they'll be announcing first quarter revenue. Okay? So the real numbers, there's a lot of numbers floating around out there. Real numbers ain't out yet. Let's stick to it. Let's stick to it. So we gonna support all the economic blackouts, and we're gonna keep our real estate, we're gonna keep our money, we're gonna watch our ass, and we're gonna let them go out there and march first for a while. You know, because I like what she said. You know, ain't no tanks and rubber bullets flying around out there right now. You know, and she got a point. I bet you when we get our ass out there to start being tanks and rubber bullets flying around. And you notice she did mention there's always them bricks being thrown through the windows all of a sudden. And the looting gets started when we out there. You know? Yeah. So let's let them do the marching. Okay? And hey, we know it's going to be some mad MAGAs out there. Okay? When it start to warm up and that air get thin and them pockets get light, it's going to be some mad MAGAs out there. Let's let them march out first. Okay? Y'all get on out there. We'll be right behind you. You know? Go on bust in the Capitol again. You'll get away with it. You know? Show us how you did it. Right? So, that's what we gonna do. That's what we gonna do. So anyhow, I'm gonna leave it right there. I appreciate y'all as usual. I'm gonna be back Monday. I will see if I can find some good stuff over the weekend. Gonna relax real good this weekend. Supposed to be warming up next week a little more. Gonna love that if it happens. So anyway, to all of you, I want y'all to have a really good weekend. Stay happy. Do your praying. Be careful. And I'll see you back here Monday, 7 p.m. All right? Y'all take it easy.